Hello. Welcome to our live Instagram Q&A. So I'm going to begin in a few seconds. I just want to give everyone a chance to join in. But in the meantime, I will introduce myself. So I am Janita, the president of Future Lawyers Halifax, and I'm also going into my 5th year of Bachelor of Commerce program at St. Mary's University, and I'm majoring in economics. And so I'm super excited to be able to host the live Q&A today with our guest speaker, Desneige Frandsen. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her. So she holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and public policy from the University of Guelph. She is also currently a JD candidate at Lincoln Alexander School, which is also known as the law school at Ryerson. She has completed several research projects with goals such as better connecting First Nations reserves with their nearby municipalities and working toward more cultural awareness and understanding in mental health care for Indigenous community members. She also has done some work with the 2SLGBTQ plus community, youth, and other power minority groups. So she continues to work on several small research projects and runs her own small marketing business while pursuing her higher legal education. She loves to grow, learn new things, and meet new people. So I would now like to welcome Desneige to join. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
It's nice to see you and speak with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much. I know you have a crazy busy schedule, so thanks for taking the time out. So I'll just dive right into some of the questions we have. So my first question is, why did you choose Ryerson, and what makes it different from other law schools?
So Ryerson's actually very different from other law schools because we have a practical component of all of our classes. So that means while we're in school, we're actually learning, and we're actually learning by doing, as well as like your typical law school where you're learning most of your things through like books and reading. So it gives you kind of an edge to be at Ryerson because you're already drafting motions and writing factums and drafting bails and doing mock client interviews and things like that. Like we do a moot with actual judges in first year, and that's not something really that happens at any other law school. So personally, I chose Ryerson because I am not as much of a book learner as most people may be. So I chose it for the practical aspects of the program that gives you the hands-on work that you're able to do.
Yeah, I think that is something super, super cool about Ryerson. I really love that you're not just focusing on like reading books, because I'm sure that's not really what being a lawyer is all about. You're not just reading books all day. I mean, maybe that's part of it, but there's a lot of other different things that to learn, and I think that is super, super cool that we have like now there's a law school that actually you have the opportunity to maybe learn how to draft certain paperwork that you might need to submit in a court or something like that. And I think that makes you probably more competitive as a person going into, a legal profession because you have those skills.
Yeah, definitely. So we just did the 2L recruit. You guys will learn about that if you get into law school and stuff like that. But we actually had a lot of our students from the 2L Toronto recruit become the first students from Ryerson to be accepted at Toronto firms for their 2L summer positions.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's really cool. So I guess another question I have would be, what is your one of your favorite and also least favorite thing about law school?
One of my favorite things is probably learning something that I'm actually interested in because, as a lot of us know, in university, we get forced to take classes that we're not super interested in or we won't be able to utilize outside of school, outside of taking that class. And with law school, every single thing you learn, you really can build off of, regardless of where you choose to specialize. You're going to have the opportunity to use the skills that you learn in pretty much all of your classes. So, for example, like contracts, you take contracts in your first year of law school, and there's contracts in every single portion of law, really, right? And it's the same with property law and things like that. Um, One of my least favorite things is probably the amount of reading that we have to do in a lot of the courses. Don't be surprised if you have 200 pages worth of readings for one class in 2 weeks, which is a lot. And it's not going to be every class because we do have classes where we have super minimal readings, right? So just be prepared for that. That's definitely my least favorite part about law school.
I'm sure that probably is a lot of people's least favorite thing. I mean, I guess there are some people that like reading, so maybe not. I don't know. I won't speak for everyone. So what advice would you give to a future law student? Like maybe what's something that you wish you had known before going into law school?
So for me, a personal one was I got involved with our student government in first year. I was the vice president of social and external affairs. And I would not recommend any first year student getting involved with their student government in that capacity. It was a lot of work on top of a huge adjustment already, adjusting to law school from like either from university or from being off school for a little while. So I definitely, my biggest advice would probably be to be cautious with the amount of extracurriculars and things that you do decide to get involved in. And if you are working, make sure that your bosses know that you're going to be in law school. And most employers are pretty accommodating when you tell them you're in law school because they understand that that involves a lot of work. So try not to stretch yourself too thin, and also make sure that you still take time for yourself to like decompress and take care of your own mental health.
Mhm. I think, yeah, I heard like it sounds from your bio, it sounds like you have a lot going on. And so I guess like a follow-up question I would have to that is how do you kind of balance because do you I think it says like are you still involved with like your own side small business, I think, or like a marketing business, and then you're also like VP of like you said, social and external affairs, and then you're in law school, so it's like a lot. And I'm wondering like what are some things you do to kind of balance all of that?
Yeah, so basically what I do is I treat law school like a job. So that means from 8 to 4:30, 8 to 5 every single day, like I'm doing school. And that usually gives me time outside of that to, I do still have my marketing company. I do have one person who helps me with that. And then I also, I'm doing research still as well. And right now I'm president of the Indigenous Law Students Association at our school. But the biggest thing for me is making sure that I am utilizing 8 or 9 hours every single day to focus on all of these things, right? So that outside of those 8 or 9 hours, if I need to spend the extra time, take that extra time and spend it on those things. But make sure that you're utilizing as much time as you can during the day so that you do have time for yourself in the evenings and things like that.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like really good advice. I think a lot of times when we're studying for school, we can just doze in and out. So it sounds like you really dedicate like a specific time in your day and focus on kind of completing everything. So I guess another question I would have is uh, what do law schools look for in applicants? And I guess maybe you can talk about a little bit about your application process to high school or law school, sorry.
Yeah, so the application process is pretty long. You're going to have to write essays for pretty much every single school you apply to. And most schools ask different questions, right? So you're not able to really take a question you wrote for another school and write it in for a different school. So try and keep that in mind. Also, well-rounded applicants, because most schools now take a holistic approach to acceptances and things like that. So they're going to look at your grades, but they're also going to look at your volunteer experience, your work experience, and things like that. So you really want to make sure you kind of have a robust resume before you apply to law school, but you do have these experiences to talk about in your personal essays and when answering the questions, because most schools do take the holistic approach, and it's not just about your grades. Of course, do well in school and things like that, but also make sure that you're volunteering and working, if you can work in an area that might relate to something that relates to law, like working in wellness or working in social justice situations and stuff like that.
Awesome. That's definitely good to know. So something that I'm kind of curious about is, I mean, especially because Ryerson, it seems like they do a lot of things pretty differently. So I'm wondering what the tests and like how you get graded on work in law school. What is that like? Is it like, do you get any assignments or is it just the one exam? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so most law schools do have 100% exams. So that's another thing that's very different at Ryerson. So we have a rule at our school that our exams can only be worth 65% of our grade, like maximum. So you're going to have assignments throughout your semester that will either be one assignment worth 35% or it'll be broken up into other things that are going to reach that. But in first year, you don't really have a lot of 65% exams. It's more about assignments and getting you that hands-on experience. So you do have assignments and exams at Ryerson, which is very different from other schools that mostly have an exam that's 100% of your grade.
That's definitely good to know because I know like not everyone is good at test writing. So I think definitely when people are kind of figuring out what school to go to, it's definitely good to keep in mind that not all of them have the same grading system. And Ryerson seems to have a different approach, a more, you know, I guess holistic approach as well for the exams and assignments and things like that. So another question I'd have for you is what do you have a particular class that you've taken that kind of stands out to you and is maybe like one of your favorite classes?
Yeah, so I personally, I'm most interested in family and criminal law personally. But surprisingly, my favorite course in first year was probably my legal research and writing course. And that was because our practical, we built off of it and we went through a whole entire process with a single client through assignments in our exam. So that was really interesting. And you want to, and at Ryerson, it's great because you do get to engage with these things. Like we engaged with an immigration law scenario that was built off of a real scenario. And we went through the whole entire process from this person being apprehended to this person either being deported or not being deported. We were given either the Crown side or the defense side, and it was really interesting. But yeah, that was probably my favorite course so far. And you do learn a lot of skills in legal research and writing that you're going to have to utilize throughout all of your courses and throughout your entire career. So that was really great.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I think it would be really cool to kind of get all those different experiences. Again, I really love the fact that Ryerson has that hands-on learning experience as well as like the kind of school reading writing type style. But another question I have is, do you know what you plan on doing with your law degree after you graduate?
Yeah, so hopefully I'll work at a firm for a few years, get some experience, and then I hope to open my own practice so that I can engage in more access to justice stuff and social justice things, to better help more rural communities and smaller communities that really don't have access to legal help or anything like that, right? So that's the long-term goal, but hopefully in the next few years I'll be at a firm and I'll be learning more from more lawyers in a firm setting.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think it's great that you're kind of taking the initiative. You know, you want to start your own law firm, and a lot of people kind of think that's really far fetched. But I really encourage anyone, you know, if it's something you're interested in, you know, why not open your own law firm in your city, and you know, bring some opportunities to people within your city as well. Um, so with that being said, I do want to open the floor to our audience. So if anyone watching has any questions, um, just pop them in the comment section and I will get to them. Um, but I don't want to have like a lot of, you know, dead silence. So I do have a few other questions that I'll ask. Again, if we do get a comment asking a question, then I'll just, you know, kind of pause and we'll answer those questions. Um, so I feel like you might have already answered this, but maybe just kind of touch on it again. So what kind of first made you interested in going into law school?
Yeah, so I've kind of always wanted to be a lawyer. Like I geared, like even when I went did my undergrad, I did my undergrad at the University of Guelph, and I took my undergrad in criminal justice and public policy. So that allowed me to look at criminology, sociology, and also political science. So those things I've been able to utilize in law school. But that being said, in your university education, you can take whatever your heart desires, whatever stream you want to take, and still make it to law school as long as you're writing your LSAT and you're taking those steps.
Yeah, I think that's definitely really cool. I know there's a lot of people that always wanted to become a lawyer, and then there's some people that just kind of they're doing career searching, and then they find out like you know, hey, this is something I think I'm interested in right now. Oh, so we have a question in the comments. It says, "What is your biggest tip for studying for the LSAT?"
Yeah, so personally, I chose to use LSAT Max, and I highly recommend it. It is a bit expensive, but are the logic games still on the LSAT?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's a different type of test because it's all about reasoning. It's like common sense in a way and things like that, but it's very pinpointed to what the LSAT wants to see. So I do recommend using LSAT Max or other study measures that are available to up your chances.
Okay, sorry. I think it's just the internet connection is kind of cutting in and out, but we got you now, so it's all good. So another question we have is there a course not related to law that you recommend others take in university that may be beneficial in the future?
Any pre-law courses really, if you're interested in law. I've been out of university for a little while now, so I guess not that long, only like 3 years. But yeah, I would just recommend any pre-law courses and things like that.
So sorry about that, guys. There's a little bit of internet connection issues. I just wanted to thank Desneige for taking the time out of her really busy schedule to speak with us today. As you guys could tell, she has a lot of things going on. She kind of balances law school with a lot of other different things as well, which is pretty inspiring. Um, but we truly appreciate getting some insight into her journey and life as a law student. So thank you also everyone who's watching and attending our live event. We hope you enjoyed it. So if your question wasn't answered during the live event, you can email us at futurelawyershalifax@gmail.com or contact Desneige at dfrandsen@ryerson.ca. Um, yeah, so thank you everyone again, and I hope you all have a nice Saturday. Yeah, thank you guys.